Shabbat Shalom. Our lives are so full of busyness, the busyness of taking care of family, the busyness of work, the busyness of social justice, and the busyness of social life. This is our moment to step into a portal outside of the regular world, to take a deep breath and just be in Shabbat. So I invite you to join me. Breathe in this moment of Shabbat. And as we take that breath in, we also gather light to us. And we begin our service inviting Delaney Martin and her family to come up and light the Shabbat candles so we can all gather in the Sabbath light together. The blessings for lighting the Shabbat candles are on page 2. We now prepare to welcome the Sabbath bride, and we turn to page 20 for Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi is a beautiful poem that expresses the one lover to another. Come out and join me. And we can imagine standing on the hills of Tzfat, if you've ever been to Tzfat, or the hills of San Francisco, if you've never been to Tzfat, and calling out and welcoming in as if a bride is coming to bring us that feeling of Sabbath peace. Page 21. please be seated. We turn to page 24 for Shalom Aleichem. We imagine that angels are joining us, the angels of Sabbath, and we welcome them. We ask them for a blessing, and anticipating even the end of Shabbat, we wait for them to depart in peace.
Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malchei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet, Malchei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ay, ay, ay. Shalom Aleichem, Malchei Hasharet,
Having warmed ourselves up a little bit, we call ourselves to worship at an elevated level. We elevate ourselves, we rise if we're physically able, and turn to page 28 for the Baruch Hu. Blessed are you, Creator, who creates day and night, who rolls light away from darkness and darkness away from light.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Try that with me. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. One more time. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night.
You are loved. Even on the days when the whole world seems distant, what matters is that you understand that you matter. You will have dark days. They will cling to you in an attempt to smother your light. Fight back, shine bright. These are words that I encountered at the Stonestown Cinema. In a way, they mirror the message that we receive before and after the Shema. Before the Shema, we are told that we are loved with ahavat olam, an everlasting love. After the Shema, we are commanded to love God. How are we supposed to love God, especially on command? I think the answer is by shema'ing, by listening to those who call out to us in need and to the still small voice within. Ahavat Olam is on page 32.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha avta, Amecha והסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Levaed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, ושיתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת.
Come to the part of our service where we imagine ourselves the shores of the sea. We sing Mi Chamocha, recalling our freedom. And we might, in this moment, in gratitude for the freedom that we have, enough to be here sitting together tonight, ask ourselves, what are we going to do with our freedom now that we have it? Mi Chamocha is on page 40.
Mi Chamocha, Pailim Adonai, Mi Chamocha, Nedal Bakodesh, Norah, Zilon,
Adonai, Yimlo, Leolam, Vaed,
Adonai,
Yimlo,
חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We reach a moment in our service where we take time to offer a blessing for those in need of healing. We turn to page 373 and hold in our hearts the names of those that we're thinking of as Cantor sings these beautiful words from Numbers chapter 12, verse 13, when Moses, for the first time in our history, prays to God for healing for his sister with these 5 words, El Na Refa Na La. Mishaberach Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Refei et hacholim shelanu. We pray especially for the healing of Frank Friedman, Rusty Holden, Harris Weinberg, Burton R. Jackson, Nancy Alpert, Donna Kraft, Carol Breen, Marvin Breen, Cooper Saul Roberts, Barbara Dobkin, John Whelan, Nancy Killian, Jerry Jacobs, Dr. John Kerner, Natalie Saltiel, Scott Nebenshall, Baruch Ben Ma'ir, Joe Azizaloff, and please share the name of anyone that you're thinking of as my arm moves around the sanctuary. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and a renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen. We're about to sing Vishamru, which is on page 42. Vishamru is about protecting Shabbat. And these lines from Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel speak to me about what it means to protect and to be protected by Shabbat. He wrote, "To gain control of the world of space is certainly one of our tasks. The danger begins when, in gaining power in the realm of space, we forfeit all aspirations in the realm of time. There's a realm of time when the goal is not to have, but to be, not to own, but to give, not to control, but to share, and not to subdue, but to be in accord."
Israel,
page 44.
Shabbat vayim
We come to what is the pinnacle of the service. During the week, it is when we offer our requests or make our requests of God. But on Shabbat, we simply are grateful for the Sabbath and its rest. We rise for the Amidah, which begins on page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ulefi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotzeinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el ha'gadol ha'gibor v'hanora, El Elyon gomer chasadim tovim, v'konei hakol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevii geula libnei bneihem leman shemo v'ahava, melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, atah gibor le'olam Adonai, nechaye hakol atah rav le'hoshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofei cholim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al geburot, umido melach, melech mimit umechayeh, umatmiach Yeshua, v'neheman atar chayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahlelu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
page 60.
On Tuesday, I'll be heading up to Camp Newman with my family. I am so grateful that this congregation upholds the value of Jewish camping and allows me to go and do this. And I gotta tell you, I grew up in Wisconsin at a different summer camp, the Camp Interlock in JCC. I remember exactly where I was sitting in the Beit Tefillah, the outdoor sanctuary overlooking Lake Finley, as the sun was setting and our song leader Adam Bilski taught us this Shalom Rav by Jeff Klepper. I had no idea then that 30 years later I'd be standing up here. I couldn't have even fathomed that, but I can also tell you there's absolutely no chance that I'd be standing here today if I hadn't have been sitting there then. So thank you. Thank you for letting me go and bring hopefully a little bit of mentorship to these song leaders and hopefully future rabbis and cantors in our movement. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Hasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Hasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Hasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Hasim Leolam. V'tov b'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. B'kol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Hasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amecha Hasim Leolam. Hasim Leolam.
Cantor, you brought me right back to Goldman Union Camp Institute and the Beit Tefillah there and reminded me of those summer days. Zionsville, Indiana. There's an old joke about a woman who sold pretzels on the street for 25 cents. And every day a particular gentleman would come by and put down 25 cents, put down a quarter, and walk off without a pretzel. Always gave a quarter, never took a pretzel. One day he came by, just like he always did. He put down his quarter and he walked on, and the woman said, "Excuse me, the price has gone up to 35 cents. The woman had chutzpah. There are so many Jewish jokes about chutzpah, this special ingredient of the Jewish people, a certain kind of audacity. In this week's Torah portion, we have a story that, though it is among the most bizarre stories in Torah, including a talking donkey and an angel with a fiery sword, it invites an investigation of why chutzpah is such an important part of who we are as a people. The story begins with Balak, king of Moab. He was afraid of the Israelites because they hid the earth from view and settled next to him. They were numerous, and they had just defeated peoples nearby that wouldn't let them cross through. The Moabite king Balak sends for Balaam, a man who's reputed to have his blessings and curses come true. He believes that if Balaam curses the Israelites, then he and the Moabites will be able to defeat our people. Balaam is a fascinating figure. It's fascinating that he's included in the Bible. He's not an Israelite, but he talks to God. He calls God by the same name we call God, and God talks to him. Moabite king sends messengers to Balaam, this guy whose blessings and curses come true, or are thought to come true. The king sends Balaam gifts, and he promises him great rewards if Balaam will come and curse the people. Balaam, however, says he can't bless or curse whoever he feels like. He can only bless who God tells him to bless and curse who God tells him to curse. The messengers go home. They report to the king. The king sends another set of messengers. And Balaam says to them, listen, even if Balak, the king of the Moabites, were to give me his whole house of silver and gold, I could not do anything, big or small, contrary to the command of God, Adonai. Despite telling the messengers he can't help, he invites them to spend the night while he waits so he can hear what God will instruct him to do. That night, God tells Balaam that he can go with the men, but only to say what God commands. Balaam gets up in the morning, he gets his donkey ready, he goes with the men, and then God is angry. It was a little confusing because God just said he could go. Along the way, all of a sudden, on a narrow road, Balaam's donkey stops. He refuses to continue. The donkey sees what Balaam doesn't see: an angel holding a fiery sword blocking the way. Balaam gets mad. He yells at the donkey. He gets madder, and he even hits the donkey. The donkey just sits down. And then the donkey speaks to Balaam with words. The donkey says, I'm the same donkey you've been riding all these years. Have I ever done this to you? As if to say, don't you think I have a reason? Balaam says no. And at that moment, God allows Balaam to see what the donkey could see. He sees the angel with the fiery sword, and he tells the angel, I'll go back. And the angel says, no, you keep going, but only do what God tells you. Balaam continues. He goes with the men, and now there's no more angel. And he finds himself under tremendous pressure to do what the king and the king's men who are surrounding him want him to do. He's in the king's territory. It's dangerous for him. Yet Balaam, instead of cursing the Israelites, blesses them. Initially, he blesses them with the word God tells him, and then he is inspired and blesses them with words of his own. I think that's chutzpah. Balaam is under bodily threat from a king and his army, and he blesses the people that the king wants him to curse. We might ask, why did Balaam even go along and put himself in this position to begin with? Just so happens that some great Torah commentators have thought about this too. The great 19th century rabbi and Torah commentator, the Malbim, says that God had bidden Balaam to go with them, but to preserve his independent and separate point of view. I think the Malbim here is giving us a central ingredient of chutzpah. The same chutzpah that makes the pretzel seller comically audacious is also what gives Balaam the inner strength to preserve his independent and separate point of view. Chutzpah, which can be insolent and arrogant, also connotes what Rabbi Ed Feinstein calls irrepressible strength, irresistible boldness. Chutzpah, in this definition, he writes, describes a rare quality of moral courage. This chutzpah is at the heart of Judaism. it turns out that Balaam, the non-Israelite who talks to God, blesses the people at God's command with exactly this quality. The blessing includes the following. Hen am livadad ishkon. They are a people that dwells apart. Uche'ari yitnaseh. And like a lion, they lift themselves up. Uchelavi yakum. And like a king of beasts, they rise. Our blessing is in part that we stand apart and as a result, rise to action. Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, Zichrono Livracha, in his essay, The Curse of Loneliness, cautions us that our willingness to stand apart need not and must not allow us to see ourselves as destined to live alone. Seeing ourselves as destined to be alone and allowing ourselves to be seen that way by others has in the past been dangerous for us. It's led to us being seen as a pariah and hated. Rather, we must walk a tightrope of being willing to stand apart when necessary, but always seeking to engage with others, listening meaningfully, finding common ground, working together for common cause. Perhaps that is one reason the one who blesses us with chutzpah in this story, Bilam, is a non-Israelite with plenty of chutzpah himself. For me, and I suspect for many of you, as we walk the tightrope of living in our era, standing up for what we believe without alienating potential partners, the Torah and our sacred texts, study and prayer and ritual, they're like a balancing pole that we can hold on to help us maintain our balance on what is still a very thin wire. As we look out and we see so many human-made ills that plague us today, I pray, may we be blessed, O God, to have the chutzpah, to stand apart, and to speak up for what we believe, to take action on behalf of what is right and just in our eyes, yet not to wallow in isolation. Help us to engage with those who earnestly see things differently than we do. Listen meaningfully to them and find common ground that we may work together toward the society God charged us to create, one filled with compassion and justice and holiness. Amen.
We turn to page 283 at the top of the page and rise for an alternative liturgical text to the Emanu, which emphasizes the inclusivity of our destiny and its intertwinedness with all the inhabitants of the earth. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שהוא שם חלקנו לייחד את שמו, וגור עלינו להמליך מלכותו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמן זה היה אדוני
Our thoughts turn now to those who have died. We call to mind in particular those who have been laid to rest within the last 30 days and for whom we're in the period of Shloshim. Isaac Berger, Robert Benjamin, Mary Klepper, Carol Cosgrove, Meredith Kaplan, Eleanor Rosalie Levine Zuckerman, Myra Berkowitz, Dina Margalit, Ruth Shirkin, Betty Jo Austin. We also keep close in our hearts those whose yahrzeits we are observing this Shabbat. Rose Gosi Barkordarian, Felice Baum, Hazel Belfer, Helen Harris Benioff, Felix Braun, Ronald Chesson, Aliza Leah Cody, Clara Cohen, Ruth Davis, Joy Doppelt, Sam Fogel, Benjamin Gisson, Michael Goldstein, Sylvia F. Golub, Sandra Gordon, Sonia Gruzman, Douglas L. Haas, Leah Harhe, Shirley K. Harris, Elizabeth Herman, Barry Jasper, Sydney Youngrice, Bernard Gary Keene, Joseph Kutner, Stephen Lehman, Ann Lair, Irving Jerome Levin, Betty Lishman, Melvin Lishman, Melville Mack, Donald Magnan, Mia Mitchell, Sigmund W. Ottenheimer, Paul Petranker, Suzanne Petranker, Jewel Roa, Alva Rogers, Leo Samuel Sachs, Helen Salazar, Stella Salazar, Rose Etta Sampson, Gregor Schauer, Alan Schneider, Lottie Schwerin, Sarah Jane Shear, Rose Lillian Shepard, Virginia Slaughter, Aaron D. Smith, Helen Sperling, Lawrence Stein, Lee Stein, Michael Vollen, Solomon Willenitz, Michael Bear Euclid. If there's anyone that you are holding in your heart that we have not mentioned, please share their name as my hand meets you. We rise as one congregation to recite the Kaddish on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah bi'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei techol beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mivarach leolam u'omei omaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei tekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imru you're comfortable, you can find that person's shoulder.
Now it's time to say the Kiddush, and I wonder if Sydney, would you and your family mind leading us in the Kiddush? Would you mind coming up?
Cantor will sing, don't worry. Does Samantha want to come? That's what I was wondering. Samantha wanted to help me finish. I thought maybe. First of all, come on, Samantha, this way. Okay. You and Samantha are going to hold this. Okay? Here we go. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam mevorei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu. Shabbat kodsho b'ahava u'ratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit hu yom tehila lemikra'ei kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kiranu v'acharta ve'otanu Mikol Hamim V'Shabbat Kadshecha V'Ava U'V'Ratzon Hinchatanu Baruch Atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat L'Chaim. Pretty sure Samantha's not 21, so your parents can take a sip.
We have one announcement tonight, which is, thank you so much. Thank you, Samantha. Thank you, Sydney. That if you are someone or you know someone who wants to support the future of the Jewish people by teaching on Sunday mornings in our religious school program, please, please, please come talk to me or email me or let me know. My email is lfuchs@emmanuelsf.org. We would love to have you consider joining our teaching team.
And not everybody maybe knows what you do here, Student Rabbi Leo Fuchs. Can you tell them what your position is?
I'm both a rabbinic intern because I'm going into my 5th year as a rabbinical student at HUC, and I'm the director of the Youth and Family Education Program.
All right, and let me just also say that there are so many different opportunities. You may be envisioning, oh, that would mean I'm in a classroom, which, by the way, is an amazing experience. We also have an entire outdoor program that happens in the Presidio. It also desperately needs teachers. We also even have some opportunities during the week. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Monday and Thursday evenings and Wednesday evenings.
There
absolutely.
is so much, and anything that you'd be willing to give. The very fact that you are here means that even if you don't think you're qualified, you probably are. And we will work with you and make you feel comfortable and loving it. Should we do a motzi?
Let's do a motzi.
All right. Hey, Flo and Sami, this couple got engaged recently. I hope you don't mind me calling you out. Why don't you come and lift up the challah, give us the honor, and you'll lead us in motzi. And mazel tov to both of you. Go ahead and take that cover off. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.